Hi, my name is Liza Medina, and this is a presentation for my speech class. My topic that I chose is global developmental delay, and the purpose of the topic was for us to be able to relate to the informative speech that we're giving. Today, my speech is, like I said, global delay. My relation to this is I have a 14-year-old daughter who has global developmental delay. When I was in high school, I had all my credits by the time I was a junior, so my senior year, my first period, I would go to class. And then after that, I worked for the rest of the day as a special education teacher assistant. Like most kids when we're young, we only know about Down syndrome, mental retardation, and physical disabilities. When I got there, I realized there was more forms of disabilities than just those three. So today I'm talking about global developmental delay, and this is my daughter, Jordan. And what I'm using are actual visuals that are actually pertaining to me, so that's why they're not cited. She is 14 years old. She's an 8th grader, and as you can see in the picture, you see her hand, and that's part of global developmental delay. On this one where she's leaning, she cannot flex her hand the way we can, and she cannot lean on it because neurologically her nerves in her arms and her legs do not function and do not stretch out. Global developmental delay has to do with fine motor skills, gross motor skills, social and cognitive skills. Global developmental delay also impacts a child when they're learning socially, behavioral, neurologically, and physically. Global developmental delay is easy to identify the symptoms if you are paying attention to your child. Some of the symptoms include making sure he or she is hitting their milestones, such as talking at an appropriate age, crawling, walking, grasping little objects. The next identifying system to do when you've got that symptom is to go to your child's pediatrician and tell them you want your child evaluated because they did not hit their milestones. My daughter didn't hit none of them. She did not talk, she did not walk, she wouldn't even look at you, she would not make eye contact with you. So that's why we took her for evaluation. And this is her actual diagnosis. The red line here is her actual age. And if you can see the dots underneath it, that's where she marked. When she was evaluated, she was 4 years old and 6 months. But if you look on the bottom, it says Vineyard. She's 2 years old. Mentally, she was at a capacity of a 2-year-old. And that's why you see the dots where they're ranged on the bottom. And on the top, you'll see the developmental profile of the evaluation assessments that she was given, which is gross motor skills, fine motor skills, her social, her cognitive, and her perceptions. Manipulatives for children is easy to get them when understanding global developmental delay for therapy, and they need consistent, continuous, routine therapy. These little blocks, to us, it's very simple for us to connect them. But for a child who has global developmental delay, this can take weeks, months, even a year. It took my daughter about 6 months to be able to connect these two little blocks. And part of that had to do with her hands. And like I showed you in the first slide, she has arthritis, and she's 14 years old. She has arthritis in her arms, and she has arthritis flare-ups in her legs. And she walks, we stand straight. This is my daughter. When she stands at an angle because of her nerves behind her legs. And global developmental delay is not a limitation. It's an explanation of how a child learns and functions on a daily basis. So if you have someone who is delayed, it does not mean keep them away from regular general ed children or put them to the side or they cannot participate. The first, where you see A is circled, my daughter is in regular classes. Although she is labeled section 504, which allows her for accommodations and modifications throughout her classes. Meaning like she has a modification where she doesn't have to write. She can write 2 things and the rest of it she can go and speak orally with the teacher. But she refuses to do that because in 4th grade, a teacher actually told her she could not be in a group with her friends because she was not at their level of understanding. So she from then on, she took that, I'm going to show you kind of, you don't tell me not to do it, which worked out for her because she's an 8th grader, and in the B section, the circle part, those are her grades right now. And that is with her completing each and every assignment. And she's right now doing STAR testing, and her benchmarks that she took, she passed it with no modifications and no assistive technology. So briefly, global developmental delay is easy to diagnose, but if you don't diagnose it, it will impact the child in their adulthood, not in their work environment, in their personal and social relationships, and it also affects them financially. We see a lot of homeless people, and people say, oh, well, they made bad choices. That's not always the thing. Some homeless people actually have a disability, and because they did not get diagnosed, they did not get the proper help that they needed in treatment. If they had gotten it, they probably would not be living in the streets. They'd probably be living in a home where they could be getting assistance and therapy up until it's time for them to pass on. So basically, global developmental delay is easy to diagnose if you're looking for the symptoms, and it's very important because it really affects a child, their self-esteem and how they take people's considerations. Another thing is the what ifs. And what did I do wrong? When I used to take my daughter to the Village of Hope, a lot of parents were like, well, I did this right and I don't understand how my child has a disability. If you focus on the what ifs, you're missing out on the opportunity of realizing how unique your child is. And not only that, you're making them feel as if they're neglected, as if they did something wrong and they cannot get your love the way it should have been. So global development is very important, and please don't, when you see a child or a person, adults is unidentifiable. You cannot see the symptoms. Some of them have the dysmorphic figures and some of them don't. As my daughter doesn't as much, but she is delayed. So global developmental delay is a disability, not a limitation. Thank you.